I'm Derek. I'm from Bromley in South London and part of Unity Movement there. And I was just going to share a story around theological difference that we have struggled with in the past and just how we've seen God break through. A very simple story, really. We gather about 50 or 60 church leaders 3 times a year for prayer breakfast. And after several years of doing this, we thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to break bread together? That seemed like quite a sensible idea and quite a simple thing to do. Just having communion with church leaders, friends. And I suddenly discovered it was not very simple at all. We had lots of people that were very uncomfortable with the idea of how are we going to do this? How was it going to work? And what I found was I had to spend an awful lot of time talking to a lot of different church leaders from different traditions and backgrounds to try and navigate a way forward. And in the end, we managed to get the Archdeacon of Bromley and Bexley to conduct our service for us at the end of our prayer breakfast. And he got us to stand together. And we had Baptists and Anglicans and New Church and Catholics all in the room. And there probably were about 50 of us in the room at the time. And we all stood in a circle. And he just invited us to come into the presence of God together. And he said, I'm going to walk round and I'm going to share the bread and the wine with you. If you are able to take it from me, bearing in mind I'm an Anglican priest, please hold your hands out. If you're not, if you don't feel you can, because I'm an Anglican priest, just stand like this and I'll pray with you and bless you. But please, will you be involved? And everyone, including Catholics, high church, low church, participated. And there was such a sense of the presence of God, and the feedback we've had afterwards, there was such a blessing and a sense of just coming together around Jesus' table that was wonderful. But it took a lot of work to get there.
That's brilliant. And we'll come to Sir Peter here.
Hi. So I come from Bath. And we've had a unity movement in the city inspired by Gather when Roger came to see us about 10 or 12 years ago, right at the beginning. And we've spent a lot of time in helping different churches and people to come together and to share a purpose and a mission together. More recently, we have developed a group of people from different churches who are all involved in hubs, and so who are engaged in supporting their local communities through stuff that happens in their church buildings in one way or another. And that's worked very well. But part of that is that it's not only ourselves as church people who should be operating those hubs, it should be people from other council departments and others who are providing for people in our communities. And so much more recently, we have started a much larger network, which is involving people from different council departments and from churches and from other groups, charities and so on. And this is actually providing a real impetus for what our churches do in our communities. So it's the difference between being together and doing together. And just in this last week, we've had a fantastic conference where we've had lots of churches and lots of different council departments all together, all working to see how we can mutually work better closely together and support people in our communities. We called it Better Connected, and we've had fantastic results from it already.
That's awesome. So cool. Andy, over to you, mate.
So having raised the issue about the rural areas, I'm from Exeter, and it is significant. It does matter whether you put clotted cream on a scone before the jam or after the jam. It does matter, doesn't it? You see, so we acknowledge differences. So as Southwest Connector, it's been fantastic to get to know numerous groupings dispersed over large areas and try to begin to introduce them to one another. And that is all about listening, acknowledging difference, but also listening and understanding and hearing one another. So I'm echoing a lot of what was said before. And one of the things that we'd found has been most helpful recently in February, we were able to gather from Devon and Cornwall what we called the Southwest Summit. and folks came together to learn from one another. It was strongly supported by so many of the local groups, various expressions of unity in localities coming together, and it gave us a real boost to see how things might develop in the future. And taking Steve's point from earlier, thinking about a rhythm of gathering together, of opportunities to meet, has been important. And also how things like Teams and Zoom can help keep those relationships going, but you do need the face-to-face as well. So we've had that joy, and also continue with the challenge. And I won't tell you what goes first on the scone.
Excellent. Over to you, Simon.
Thanks, Stephen. So I'm Simon Hawking. I'm from Lincoln, part of the same Unity group that Dave, who was on the panel, was talking about. My reflections on what I heard from the panel. There's a couple of things that I wrote down here that jumped out to me. Don't be co-opted into ideological battles. And it's about how we conduct ourselves in these moments. And I sense quite a lot of the time we have a sense of panic or rush to act or speak quickly when things are happening. And actually, there's some wisdom in not rushing into acting or speaking quickly, but actually to take a little bit of time to listen more, perhaps especially to those views that are different from your own, to really hear and understand why and where these views come from. And I think what helps in those moments is to expect to be challenged, not be surprised that you were challenged, but actually expect, I'm going to be challenged, I'm going to expect that. And also prepare to think differently, to not be, right, this is my view, this isn't going to change, but actually, how do I myself prepare and soften myself that actually I might think differently at the end of this conversation. It reminded me of a book that some people may have come across called Poverty Safari, where the writer talks about trying to engage with people who have views that he himself was brought up with. And really, at the heart of it is asking the question, what is the pain that's caused some of these strong views? Because actually, if you're going to challenge a view, you need to understand the pain that's led to that, and how can you connect at that level?
Wow, that's great reflections, guys. That's wonderful.